Hi, my little babies. Welcome back to another episode of What the Smut Book Review. I have no rhythm whatsoever, so if you were expecting, don't. So, there you go. Hi, welcome back to another episode of What the Smut Book Reviews. I'm your host, Candace. Thank you so much for joining me. Before you say anything, yes, I'm aware that my eyeshadow makes me look like, some type of weird alien person. Freckles. I don't know what it is about. I don't know why. Let's not focus on it. Just try and get past it. Focus on the rest of me and the words coming from my mouth. Because we're here today to talk about a very important book and a very important person. We're here today to talk about Daddy Raylan. And yes, I did. You heard me correctly. I said Daddy Raylan. If you know anything about me and about my channel here, you know that while I adore a good age gap romance, I don't do daddy kink. I don't do those novels with the daddy thing. I can't. I'm sorry, I can't. There are very few exceptions to that rule. There are very few exceptions to that rule. There have been a few, where I can get past it. I won't say necessarily that I felt that it added something to the book for it to be there, but I won't also say that it deterred from the book. You know what I'm saying? Like, I won't say that it took away from the book for it to be there. But there have been a few exceptions. So you know that for me to say Daddy Raylan, you know that we're getting ready to get into some shit. And we are. So strap on your big girl panties, bitches, because we're getting ready to get into some shit. We are going to get into the shit. Okay, so in today's video, did I hype it up enough? In today's video, kids, we're going to be reviewing a book by author Sophie Lark, in case you hadn't guessed, called Broken Vow. This is book 5 in her Brutal Birthright series. The two main characters for this book are Raylan and Riona. I will give you guys the deets, and then I'll give you the blurb, then we'll break it down. Then I'll do my closing review, and then you can stay tuned for the bloopers, which I'm sure there will be many of, because there always is, because I'm a fucking fool. So let's get down to it. This book, okay, first of all, the covers, you know. If you know, you know. Can we just appreciate the cover model? The cover models. Every single cover model for this series has been fucking stunning. So good looking. Look at him. Don't look at my janky nail. Look at him. Like, oh God. His eyes alone tell me lies. Tell me sweet little lies. Tell me lies. Like, tell me any kind of lie, boy. I will believe you. They're just so honest and truthful, you know what I'm saying? And the scruff, like, oh God, give me a guy with some good scruff and for life. Okay, so This book and all of these books in the series are free to read with KU. If you don't know what KU is, it stands for Kindle Unlimited. Kindle Unlimited is a monthly subscription service offered through Amazon. If you have a Kindle device that you have purchased through Amazon, you can pay for this monthly subscription service, and you can basically check out books like you would a virtual library and download them to your Kindle device from their Kindle library. And you can have out of, I think, like up to 10 books at a time. And then when you read it, you finish, you return it to Kindle Unlimited, and you can download a new one from their library. And I think it's like about like $9.99 a month at the end. That's it. All of these books are free to read with KU. If you want to purchase this book for your Kindle, forever and ever and ever, it is $4.99. Who messaged me? Okay, it is $4.99. You can get this trade paperback with this beautiful cover model on it for $14.99. That is the going rate for all of the trade paperbacks in this series, $14.99. So that's a fucking bargain. Go do it, because these books, God, these books are, I can't, I've gushed enough. Okay. So according to Amazon, this book has 444 pages. You know how I feel. You know how I feel about this. Let's see. Okay. 428 pages. And I know what some of y'all are thinking, and you've probably thought this before. Candace, when you go to Amazon's page, when you go to the Amazon page for this book, it's automatically defaulting you to the Kindle Unlimited version of this book. And so naturally it would give you the estimated page length for the Kindle device size. But no. I deliberately clicked on the trade paperback option so I could get the correct page number. And it said 444. So before you come for me, don't come for me. Okay. 428. So you done gypped me out of however many pages that is, because Candace don't do math. So what happened, Amazon, you liar? Anyway, okay, so I'm gonna read you guys the blurb, obviously from the back of the book, because I didn't bring my deed sheet, because I don't have a deed sheet anymore, because I done upgraded to my reading journal, because I'm no longer a basic bitch, because I spent $7.99 because I invested in my future. Because the 12 people who watch these videos every week are gonna send me straight to the top. You know what I'm saying? $7.99. So I don't have my deed sheet. And because I don't, I hate you. And because I don't have my deed sheet, I didn't copy and paste the blurb from Amazon, and I didn't think about that before I sit down in here. So I'm gonna have to read it from the back of the book, which is fine because the blurb is on the back of the book, and usually I do double the work that I don't need to do anyway. So because the blurb is on the back of the book. So here we go. So this bit up here says, I'll protect her whether she likes it or not. I love the one. Okay. Riona Griffin is gorgeous, intelligent, and iron-willed. My perfect woman, except she hates my guts. She thinks she doesn't need anybody, but she needs me. She's being hunted by an assassin who never misses his mark. I'm going to stay by her side day and night, keeping her safe. Riona thinks that's a fate worse than death, but I know she'll learn to love me. If this hitman wants to kill her, he'll have to go through me first. Yeah, Daddy Raylan. Okay. Can't stop, won't stop. Okay. So, like I said, the two main characters for this book are Raylan and Riona. If you are familiar with this series, you have met them both already. Raylan is Dante Gallo's, I would probably say best friend, only friend. Dante Gallo is the eldest son of the Gallo clan, which is, I say clan, but it's not, it's the family. The Gallos are the Italian mafia family of Chicago. And Dante is the eldest son of that family. Raylan is a sniper that Dante met when he was in the army. And Raylan is a BFF. Okay. So, when Dante's book was the last book that we saw in this series prior to this one, it was called Bloody Heart. And at the end of that book, we saw Dante get into a kind of a sticky situation when his love interest, his woman, got herself kidnapped by a psychopath. And Raylan had to fly in from some unknown desert location and be like his wingman to go try and take this guy, this crazy dude out before he could basically release her out into the wild wilderness and hunt her like an animal. Yeah, if you haven't read that book, you should go back and read that book because that shit was cray-cray. So Raylan is a good old Southern country boy from Tennessee. He was born and raised on a horse farm, whatever you want to call it. And he comes from not a large family, but he does have a brother and a sister. He's got a very complicated, like, parental situation. We'll get into that. Let's do Riona first. Riona is, you've also met Riona. Riona is the middle child of the Griffin family. The Griffins are the most influential Irish mafia family in Chicago. Their eldest child is their son Callum. Riona is the middle child, and Nessa is the youngest child, the daughter. Both Callum and Nessa have been married off. Riona is the only remaining single child. Sorry, I have a leg itch. And she is like she's a tight ass, basically. Very prudish, very stuck up, workaholic, snooty, rude. Her whole life, she's a lawyer. Her whole life is work. Her family and conjointly, is that a word? Conjointly with the Gallo family are in business developing the South River project. South River? I think it's called South River. And there's like a lot of land deeds and a lot of property contracts and things like that are having to be worked out. And she is like the lawyer that's taking care of all of the paperwork for that, all of the contracts and all of the legal shit for that. So she spends the majority of her time in the office working on those. Her uncle, which is her father's illegitimate brother, her father's dad had a bastard son. That's her uncle. Is one of the managing partners of the law firm. And he basically tells her, like, you work too much. I'm gonna assign these to Josh, which is like one of the other brown-nosing lawyers that's up for a partnership. One of the partners is getting ready to retire, and Riona thinks that she has it in the bag, but she has competition from this guy, Josh, who is also trying to get that partnership. And so her uncle is like, I'm going to give these contracts over to Josh to work on. And she's like, fuck no, you won't. Like, these are mine. And he's like, you work too much. You need to chill out. And he like takes them away from her. And she just waits till he leaves the office and she takes him back off of Josh's desk. But that night, she leaves and she goes home to her apartment in the city. And she used to live at home in her parents' house. Callum and Nessa used to live there as well, even though they were all grown. It's a huge, gigantic mansion, so why the fuck not? But Callum and Nessa, because they've been married, they have both moved out, and she feels like a giant man, like a giant woman child living with her parents still, and being the only one living in the house with her parents. So she has moved out into her own apartment. She goes home to her apartment, and she has a very like strict like workout regimen. She swims a lot. She really enjoys like swimming laps, and she just staying in shape and that kind of thing. So she goes up to the rooftop pool, and she goes to swim. And while she's in the swimming pool, someone grabs her by the ankle and pulls her down and tries to drown her, basically. She manages to pull her hairpin out of her hair. Usually she wears a diving cap, but she had forgotten it this particular night. And she had one of those she had twisted her hair up, and she had one of those like clippy pins, and she took that out and she stabbed the guy, whoever it was, and that startled him enough that she was able to get out of the pool and run inside and down, down the stairs to the nearest floor, to the nearest apartment for help. She doesn't call the police, she calls her brother. Her brother comes, who then subsequently calls Dante Gallo, who subsequently calls Raylan to basically become her bodyguard. It turns out that someone has basically taken out a contract on Riona. Someone's put out a hit on Riona. Why? Who? We don't know. For what reason? Riona, because she comes from a mafia family, would obviously be a target. They have a lot of enemies because of their shared interest in this giant construction project. That also has made them a lot of enemies. So when Dante calls in Raylan is essentially called in to be her bodyguard. She doesn't like it at all. She's very obstinate about it. She says she doesn't need a bodyguard. She doesn't want one. She can take care of herself. Yeah, you know, typical. She basically tolerates his presence. At one point, Raylan and Dante go to meet this guy, the broker, to try and get information from him on who the hitman is. Because the hitman is just a hired gun. He's not the person who really wants Riona dead. He's just the assassin who's meeting out the contract. So they have to find him before they can find the person who hired him. So they go to see this guy, the broker. They trade a bunch of, like, I think it's like weapons and information about a mole within the broker's own enterprise who's feeding information to the feds, like, as a CI. And like they give up that person's name in exchange for the name of, not the name, but like the street name of the person who's the assassin. And it's like I think it's like the Jinn, which is like the genie. If you know anything about, like, I don't know, would that be considered like mythology? I'm not sure, but Jinn is like another name for a genie. But that's like the street name or the code name that this assassin goes by. So they get that information, and they basically, they're trying to find out who would have wanted to hire this guy. They start digging around. With employees who used to work at the law firm where Riona works. And they find out that there was an employee there who had been recently fired for making sexual advances towards other employees. They go and investigate that, and it turns out to be a dead end. So they're at another dead end. The Jinn makes basically another attempt on Riona's life by trying to essentially burn her to death. He breaks into her apartment with Raylan inside, sleeping on her couch, and sets fire to her apartment. She actually wakes up before Raylan does, and they manage to get out in time, but he's so spooked and basically, I guess, feeling a little bit guilty at the fact that he almost let her die, that he decides that they need to get out of the city. And so he takes her back to his family ranch in Tennessee. At first she's like, where the fuck are you taking me? I have work to do. You can't take me out of Chicago. And he's like, you don't have a choice. Tough titties, get over it. So after a while, she like stops putting up a fight. He's like, you're not going to get any work done there. Someone's legit trying to kill you. You're going with me. And she gets over it. She doesn't have a choice. So, so Raylan has not been home in 3 years. He's called his mom. He's kept in touch with his mom. His mom is a single parent. She's gotten old. She's older, obviously. He has 2 siblings. He has I'm not sure if he's the oldest. I can't remember. But he has a brother and he has a sister. His brother is married, and his sister is single. I believe his sister is younger. His mother has recently had some type of accident. I think it's either with her foot or her hip. I can't remember. But because of that accident, it's becoming very apparent to the rest of the family that she's getting on in years, and she's not able to keep up with the ranch the way that the way that it needs to be kept up with. And so everyone's looking to Raylan to come back and basically take on the mantle of a horse farmer, horse trainer, whatever. He has been gone for a long time. Raylan has a kind of a murky... Raylan had a good childhood up to a point. So Raylan was raised by two very loving, very devoted parents. To his knowledge, he had the same two parents as his two siblings. What he didn't know and didn't find out until he was much older, I forget, I think it was like in his teens, was that his father was not the father he thought he had was not his biological father. His mother was with someone prior to the person that he thought was his father and his sibling's father. The guy was abusive to her. Very rich guy, very psycho guy. He used to beat her up a lot. And essentially, she got pregnant with Raylan. And her brothers, Raylan's uncles? Yeah. And the man that would become her husband, the man that Raylan thought was his dad, essentially snuck onto the compound or the grounds or whatever you want to call it, of the estate where she was being kept by this psycho guy. And they absconded with her. And when he came looking for her, they took him out in the woods and they shot him. And they killed him. And then they dumped him in the woods. So they killed him. She grew close, bonded with the guy. I forget his name, Way something. And they got married, and she had 2 more kids with him, and they raised Raylan together. And to Raylan's knowledge, that was his dad. Later on, he's up in the attic, and he finds all the paperwork and everything showing that she was with someone or married to someone before. And he flips out, and he leaves, and he joins the army. And he just basically comes and goes, but stays gone more than he stays home. And they just don't really talk about it anymore, and they don't. And he harbors resentment about it. And so, yeah. So now he's come home, and he's brought Riona with him. She's immediately out of her element, obviously. They show up with no clothes. They get I think halfway there they get a hotel room, and they get some cowboy duds, and she's like, what the fuck clothes did you buy for me? But she's completely out of her element. She meets his family. At first, she's very standoffish because that's just her personality. And that comes across as bitchy, kind of. They give her a warm welcome, and they're not rude or standoffish or anything like that. Riona eventually warms up to the rest of the family, and his mom eventually tells her everything having to do with Raylan's biological father, and her deception about who his dad really was and why she kept it a secret for so long and how he found out and all of that, and the abuse that she suffered at his hand and everything. She doesn't tell her about the murder. That comes later on. Raylan tells her about that. But she grows close to Raylan's family. And while she's at the ranch, her and Raylan begin their romantic relationship. Okay. If you've read this series, then you know exactly what I'm getting ready to talk about, and you know why I'm getting so excited. If you have not read this series, or you've read up to this point, and you haven't read this book yet, you have no idea, and you're like, bitch, what is wrong with you? Oh, God. Okay. At one point, there is a scene. The first scene. This is not their first kiss. They've already had their first kiss, which was a very angry kiss that happened in like the gym of her apartment building. This is the first sex scene of the book. And that happens in a barn on the Tennessee family ranch. Okay. In this scene, Raylan, it becomes very apparent that Raylan has some dominant BDSM type proclivities. He essentially bends her over what is that thing called? A saddle, the thing that you use to make saddles on, what is that thing called? I forget. Whatever. He bends her over it, and he ties her legs to the horse, the pony thing. What the fuck is it called? I can't fucking remember. Anyway, he ties her ankles to it. It keeps her legs spread apart. And then he ties her hands together on the other side. And then he wails her ass out with a riding crop. And this is after she mouths off to him. And there's one point where she's mouthing off to him, and he leans down and he whispers in her ear. He gets really close to her, and he whispers in her ear, and he goes, "Shut the fuck up." Oh God. Oh God. Okay. If I tell you, I don't know what my daughter's doing. She's running around like a fucking psycho. If I tell you, when I read that part, I literally got tingles. If I had not already been sitting down, I would have fucking fallen over. My knees would have given out. I would have just fallen on the floor because I got hot. I was like, okay, sir, yes, sir. And then there's another part later on where he makes her call him daddy. And this one time is the only time that I have willingly ever said that I was 100% in on saying, yes, daddy. Daddy. Yes, daddy. Give it to me, daddy. Okay? I want to state that for the record. This is the only time. Give it to me, daddy. Okay? All right. So, that scene, I get so weak in the knees I can hardly speak. I know you know what song I'm talking about. So, yeah. So over the course of the book, they're corresponding over the phone with Dante and Callum. Have you gotten any information? What do you know? What have you found out? Anything? Okay. While they try and find out stuff on their side, Riona does some research on her own. She's looking through the financial records and the contracts that she has her assistant Lucy send over the contracts that she was working on for the construction project, the South River development that they've been working on with the two families, so that she can have something to do, because, you know, she's bored. She's sitting in Tennessee doing nothing. When she does, she sees a few discrepancies in the contracts. She sees a few contracts that have very similar looking names on them with just like one digit or like one letter, a variation of one letter. But they're for very varying amounts of money. And when she does some more digging, she realizes that it appears as if Josh has been embezzling from the company. So immediately she's like, okay, I think Josh is the one that may have put out the hit on me, because he knew I was going over the contracts, and it was only a matter of time before I found out that he's been stealing. So we gotta get back to Chicago. It's around this time that they realize that it's possible that her computer and her phone may have been traced, because the Jinn shows up on the ranch, and there's an all-out fight between her and the Jinn, and then Raylan gets into it and tells her to run, and she doesn't listen, obviously, because she don't listen to shit, because she ain't listen to no man. I'm my own woman, you know what I'm saying? Which is good, because he almost lost it, and she saves his ass. And the Jinn gets killed, and then they bang pretty hardcore. They have like that post-traumatic, I could have lost you sex. That I could have lost you, I secretly love you, let's bang sex, right? That's that good sex. So yeah, so they do that, and then after that, the next morning, they go outside and they bury the rotting corpse. The rotting corpse of the Jinn that they left outside while they fought. Because, you know, priorities. So anyway, so they go back to, they get ready to go back to Chicago. Vision is dead. They get word from Dante and Callum that Josh has just been found dead in the airport parking lot inside of his car with a gunshot wound to the head, apparently self-inflicted. So it appears as if he's killed himself. Possibly because he knew he had been found out. Convenient. So she's like, okay, well, there's nothing left for us to do here. I have to go back to work, and I have to tell my uncle that Josh was embezzling from the company, and, you know, that all this is over and nobody's trying to kill me anymore, and yada yada, right? Raylan tells her that he's in love with her, and she's too afraid to say it back to him. So she basically like runs away, and she leaves him and goes back to Chicago. The first place she drives like all the way through the night and back to Chicago, or all the way through the day back to Chicago. The first place she goes is to her office. She sees that there is a light on her office. Her actual office the light is off and there's nobody in her office. But she sees that there is still a light on in her uncle's office. So she goes in there and she sees him. And he sees her, and he looks surprised to see her. And the more she thinks about it, she starts to piece together certain behaviors and things that he's said and done, and how it was just very convenient that now Josh is dead, and there's just a lot of things tie back to him instead of Josh. And when she calls him on it, he just freely admits that he was the one that put out the hit on her. And she's like, why? You're the senior partner of this firm. You make a good salary, you make a good living, you didn't need the money. Why did you do this? And he basically like has like a massive outburst, and he's like, I shouldn't have to earn any money. I shouldn't have to make a living. It's owed to me. I'm the eldest, blah, blah. And she's like, you're also a bastard. You didn't inherit any money. You're illegitimate. And they go back and forth, blah, blah, blah. And so he basically pulls a gun on her and forces her at gunpoint to eat a bottle of pills that are basically like overdose on some kind of unknown drug, which she does, thinking that she has 15-20 minutes to try and puke them up before they can kick in. So it's the only other alternative she has is to get shot in the face. So what are you gonna do? So she does. So she eats the fistful of pills. She's chatting him up, basically trying to keep him talking and distract him. She manages to get a hold of like a monogrammed was it a pen or a letter opener or something? There's something on his desk, and she basically like stabs him in the hand, and he like fumbles. It gives her a chance to like grab the gun, and she shoots him right in between the eyes with the gun. She tries to throw up the pills. Nothing comes up. She can't get the pills up. It's about that time, the pills start to kick in, and she loses consciousness, and she falls over. In the meantime, obviously, because this book had to have an HEA, right? She's not gonna die. In the meantime, Raylan has come to the realization that there's no way in fuck all that he's gonna let Riona go. So he's coming after her. So he hops a flight. And does he hop a flight or he drives? He hops a flight, I think. And he comes back to Chicago. And of course, Raylan, knowing Riona, he goes directly to her office building. He goes up and he goes to her actual office, and he sees that her light is on, but she's not in there. But her chair is pushed back like she was recently working, and she's not there. He sees a light at the end of the hallway where her uncle's office is, and he doesn't hear anything, so he's getting kind of creeped out. He's like, what the fuck's going on? So he runs down the hallway. He has like a sick feeling. He runs down the hallway. He goes in, he sees her uncle's body on the floor covered in a pool of blood. And then he sees Riona on the floor looking as pale as she's ever been in her life. And that bitch is already kind of pale because she's got flaming red hair and she's pale as fuck. He runs over and he picks her up, tries to wake her up. She's unresponsive. She still has a pulse. It's thready. He calls an ambulance. They rush her to the hospital. They pump her stomach. They get her vital signs back up. She's fine. She'll be fine. Calm down. Calm down. I know you're freaking out. She's fine. Okay. She wakes up. Raylan essentially refuses to leave her side the entire time she's in the hospital. She wakes up. They keep her there for a while. She fights them tooth and nail, but they keep her there. She gets out of the hospital. She basically professes her love for Raylan, obviously. They go to Simone and Dante's wedding, and it's a beautiful affair. And they say their own vows. They write their own vows. It was very beautiful. And Riona shows the first shred of emotion that she's ever shown in her fucking life. And she cries. She tries to hide it, but she cries. And Raylan sees her cry. And shortly after that, the main reason why Riona did not say I love you prior to running back to Chicago was because she did not know how her and Raylan would ever make a relationship between the two of them work. She knew that Raylan's family and mom especially expected him to come back to Tennessee and live on the ranch and work the ranch. And her life, her family, her job is in Chicago. Everything is in Chicago. And she felt like she couldn't give that up. She was getting ready to make partner, and she just felt like she couldn't give that up. People were depending on her. After her near-death experience and seeing Dante get married, she comes to the realization that none of that really means shit. Like, all she cares about is Raylan. She can work from anywhere. Like, remotely. Fuck it. She can fly back and forth to Chicago. Who cares? So behind his back, without telling him, she buys with cash an entire building in downtown Knoxville, and is planning on opening her own law firm there so that she can live with him on the ranch. And yeah, and she tells him, and he's ecstatic, and they live happily ever after. And Daddy. And the end. And that's it. And I'm so fucking parched. I've been talking for an hour. Okay. Okay. So, for the rating for this book, I gave it a 9.5. I loved this book. I loved it as much as I loved Callum and Ada's book, and as much as I loved Nero and Camille's book. Obviously, my brain. Obviously, Stolen Air and Bloody Heart are still my two favorites, so they both got 10s. This one got a 9.5. Okay. Would I recommend this book or in this series to other people? Yes, obviously. Don't ask me that fucking question again. Yeah, I have been to everyone, everyone who will listen. Strangers on the street. Do you know who Sophie Lark is? Well, you should. Let me tell you. And then they go to talk, and then I lean down to their ear and I just whisper, "Shut the fuck up." I know, I'm too much. So yeah. 9.5. I definitely would recommend this book, 21. This, if you like a good enemies to lovers, if you like a good mafia romance, if you like a good, I don't know, like, is hitman trope, is that a thing? I don't know. Forced proximity, is that a thing? Yes. There you go. Come on, man. Tie me up and spank me, daddy. If that's a thing, there you go. You got that. There's some of that in there for you. So yeah, there you go. If you enjoyed this video, if you like me and you like my channel, please consider subscribing. I would really appreciate it. If you would like, you can follow me on social media. I do have a members only Facebook group, an Instagram, and a Twitter devoted to this channel. And yeah, I upload videos every Thursday, usually. Don't quote me on that, but usually. So yeah, I really appreciate you guys sticking with me for another video, and I will see you guys in the next one. I love you guys so much. Bye. That was too low, wasn't it? That was too quiet. Bye. Okay, we're just gonna get into it. I just covered this fucking book in highlighter. All right, here's what we're gonna talk about first. Because why does my makeup look me? Why does my makeup look me? What the fuck is wrong with you? Why does my makeup make me look so washed out? That's number one. I don't know. I look pale as a fucking ghost. What is going on? I don't know. Okay, so I look like do I look like I have no brows? Is that what it is? What's going on with my face? There's something off. Do I have jaundice? What's happening? There's like some, yeah. Maybe it's the eyeshadow. There's like something wrong with my face and I can't figure out what it is. Hold that thought, I'll be right back. Hold that thought. Okay, I'm back. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but there's something wrong with my face. I don't know. There's something. I think it's the eyeshadow. I think that's what it is. It's making me feel like an alien. Does that make sense? It's making me feel like I look like a fucking alien. Okay, anyway. Welcome to the cove, bitch. I don't. Okay. Canvas. Focus. You're wasting your own storage. All right. Okay. Are we ready? Are we ready? It's Brittany, bitch. Okay. We're gonna. Okay. Let's get into it because I'm so fucking. Okay. All right. Here we go. Riona thinks that if loser. Riona thinks that Riona is the middle child of the I was about to say Gallagher. That's wrong. Riona, oh my God. Griffin, dear God, what is wrong with your brain? Okay. I feel like this is kind of swollen. I don't know. Anyway. Oh my God. Okay. I've been talking for an hour. There's no way I'm going to get 2 done tonight. I just can't. I got to put my kid to bed. Dun, 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 dun. Whew. Riding crop. Okay. Ow. Oh my God, did you hear that? Did you hear that? Oh God. Everything's cracking. Everything. I can't stand up from a sitting. Why do I look like I can't, sorry for the shakage. I can't stand up from a sitting position without like 15 things like cracking. Am I getting old? Yes. Okay. I'm gonna go. I love you guys so much. I'll see you later. Bye. Clickety click, 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 click.